Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Podcast. This is your host, David McCaig Jr. Right out of the gate, I am joined by Alexander, and if you can see his name at the bottom, Pure Later Parr. Alex, my friend, how's it going?
It's going well, man. You know, the mail business is just sending things out, getting things in. I actually just got my golf clubs delivered today, so that's why I was a couple minutes late to responding to your text. I am fired up. It's January, and that's all I can think about is golfing.
It's golf, and it's a sad story, though, why you had to get new clubs, but nonetheless.
Because some scumbag stole them from my car.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Don't steal, people. Do not steal, okay? Don't steal. It's bad. I didn't get into it in the opener because guess what? I didn't have my usual opener today, so I'm just going to tell you the Game Sports Podcast is powered by 91 Network and also featured on Spaces through Soo Today and Village Media. We got an action-packed show, okay? There's going to be Top Shelf, which you're tuning into here. There's going to be Chuck-a-Puck. There's going to be In the Pocket. And look, we're even going to talk a little bit about baseball, okay? There's going to be some venting. There's going to be some de-venting. Just made it up. If it's a word, if it's not, I don't care. I made it up as a word today. There's going to be a lot going on this show, and very excited to share it with you. Now, of course, Brennan had to be absent this week, so you got Alex and myself. So getting right into it, Alex, look, I want you, because we talked about this earlier in the year when it first happened. I want to give kudos to the Amazon Prime broadcast for the hockey games, okay? I think we did talk about it weeks and weeks back, but I want to make sure that I did bring it up because I feel like they're doing a good job. And I was sharing with you off air. I think that they've improved, and that's just viewer experience. It could be app experience for me or just my TV or internet, whatever it is. But I feel like they do a really good job of having Wendell and Dougie there yesterday for the Leaf Lightning game. And at the day of recording this, it's January 21st. So January 20th was the game between Toronto and Tampa. So Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmour were there. And it's great hearing from the legends, but I think Amazon Prime is doing a terrific job.
You know what the best part about it is that they understand that a large fan base that's going to be watching their games are Leafs fans. Mm-hmm. So they treat it like a home broadcast most of the time, where Sportsnet and TSN, I mean, not even so much TSN. TSN's a little bit on the home side of Toronto, but Sportsnet especially, they try to play it right down the middle. And at that point, it basically just biases against the Leafs. And guess what? It's a weeknight game. It's the Leafs Sportsnet Ontario broadcast. I want you to be homers, okay? This is your fan base watching, and Amazon recognizes that. If you go through their Twitter, they're really up on the Leafs, not so much on Tampa. And the broadcast does a really good job of saying, wow, this Leafs team is pretty good. And that's all it takes. I enjoy it. Yes, I understand my biases. I'm sitting here in my Matt Sundin jersey, but that's what I want. That's what I want from my broadcast.
See, and I think it's a great experience. So Amazon, keep up the good work. And I know people are against the streaming for games and you'd rather cable. Look, it's 2025. All right, there's going to be different options. Look, WWE is on Netflix now, okay? And loving the Netflix transition, by the way. We're not talking about WWE on this segment, but it's definitely going to be the way of the future. So having these applications, when you think about it, Parr, it's actually cheaper to own Netflix.
An Undertaker comic. I bought it for $3 for a buddy. Look at this. If you guys are watching on video, look how disgruntled that guy looks. Like he has the worst hangover of his life.
Oh, he probably did. He probably did. 100%. But I think this is going to be the way of the future for a lot of things. Like cable's expensive, right? I'm not going to say you're talking cable and all that stuff, but the app streaming is going to be the norm going forward.
You know what's so nice about it too? It's like when I turned on Raw, I was like, oh, I missed the opener. Darn it. Oh, wait a minute. It's Netflix. I'm just going to rewind it. And that's the same for the hockey game. If you want to replay something, you can just do it. It's so
skip the commercials.
Nice. Not if you're watching it live. Not if you're watching it
live.
No,
if you have to go back, you can skip the commercials. Where before you'd have to watch the commercials again. If you can't, then you can't skip when you start it over again. With Bell 5, if I restart a live program, I can't skip forward. I don't know how that is for Shaw or other programs. Yeah, I don't know how it is for. If I restart a program, I can't fast forward it.
That's brutal. But like you're saying, like this is just the new way of doing it. I don't think. For me, I'm upset about the streaming aspect. I like that. I just hate that my product is spread so thin across so many different applications. Yeah. And to me, that just doesn't make any sense. Like we gotta figure this out. The time the next CBA needs to be renewed, something about distribution of media rights needs to be figured out. And maybe it's not even the CBA, but you know what I mean? When those talks happen, we need to centralize this a little bit better.
And there's going to be something that we're going to bring up on this podcast because Four Nations is doing it. with the overtime format. 5 minutes, 3-on-3 for 10 minutes. Just saying. How long have I been talking about that on the show? I think I brought up numerous times, but we'll hold that for a minute. Obviously, the Four Nations face-off is just around the corner, which is very exciting. It's first time you're going to see Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon all on the same team. Okay, and you got, yes, they're missing Russia. Okay, I know people are saying, well, there's a lot of players that are missing. Sure, but this is still going to be some very good hockey, and we'll talk more about the Four Nations as we get closer to it. But besides that part, Connor McDavid, speaking of Connor McDavid, and I don't want to speak to this too much because I don't want to be dated in any which way. As I'm speaking in general about his incident, he got a 3-game suspension as a Tyler Myers. Basically a mirror. I was watching that game briefly on the couch as I was zoning in and out of reality, tired on a Saturday night. And you see Connor McDavid after everything going with Connor Garland. There was blood boiling, okay, and then something went over Connor McDavid. He's bigger than Connor Garland is too, so there was a lot there. Tyler Myers just seems like he didn't give a crap and just did his old 6'7", which on skates near 6'10", try to knock out Evan Bouchard, basically simultaneously. Like it happened back to back. Like it's pretty much like Connor did it, then 15 seconds later Myers did it to Bouchard, and I think it was a fair suspension, but. Connor McDavid is like, when I look back, I think of Morgan Riley, what he did to Ridley Craig. You were there live for that game.
That was so sick.
What was dirtier, Riley's or McDavid / Myers? I think Riley. McDavid. You think Riley? Okay, yeah. Because absolutely. It was the back of the head? Is that why? Because it was the back of the head or more?
And it wasn't during a play either. I'm pretty sure McDavid's was at least during the play, right? Like, well, McDavid's was a little retaliatory as well because Connor Garland after the game even said like, yeah, well, I just figured I'd just attack the best player in the world. There's not really a lot of time left. So what are they going to do? And I mean, Morgan Riley was completely retaliatory. Nothing was going on. The play was over. The game was over. And he just boom right in the head.
You were there for that game. That's great. That's so crazy.
It was crazy. That was the most hostile crowd I've ever seen in my life. Like guys, like Senators fans, like trying to block my way out of the arena and stuff like that. I was like, holy guys, you guys just jumped from 28th to 27th in the standings, and now you're parading down the street here. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's talk about making the playoffs first.
And I just think that Department of Player Safety, do you think this is a consistent suspension is the point of the topic? Do you think this is consistent with what they've been doing?
3 seemed like a lot. For me, I was thinking he should really only get 1. A lot of people have been moving the discussion on how the league doesn't protect its stars. And now you're seeing the results of that where they have to take matters into their own hands and protect themselves. And now we're suspending them and we're taking the top star of the entire game out.
So that's number one.
Number one. That's 3 games now that people might not buy those last minute tickets for or might not tune into television because that's who they want to watch. But what other option other than the one that Connor took, McDavid that is, did you give him? He had to do something. He had to stand up for himself. Did he do it in the wrong way? Sure. But the way the league's officiated, you didn't have any other option. So you either change how you officiate or these things are going to continue to happen. And when you remove the stars from the game, you will see the decline in viewership. Like it's very, very easy to see. So I don't know.
And Kevin Bieksa said it very well, Parr, to be honest with you. He said at the end of the broadcast, he said, this is what will happen if you take fighting out of the game. And
yeah.
I'm not going to take Bieksa's quote, but I got to quote him. I love Kevin Bieksa. I think he's great. The perfect personality. He really makes that panel on Sportsnet, I really feel. And so does Kelly Rudy, friend of the show, by the way. And Luke Gazdick, friend of the show. There's some good Game Sports Podcast representation on there for sure. But Kevin Bieksa, besides his very good looks that he could mix and matches his suits from the closet that they picked from the broadcast, he brings up very good points. And this was a very good defenseman in his day, but also didn't get afraid with getting into the dirty areas of the ice and dropping the mitts when he had to. So he understands playing that both sides of the game, and I think he's correct about taking away fighting in the NHL. I understand there's major junior action that's getting all that right now happening, but if that does bleed over to the National Hockey League, that's what's going to cause a lot of this. You can't fight. They're just going to use whatever they can. They're not going to learn how to fight. They're not going to learn that aspect of hitting if you start calling more hitting calls. There's a lot of things, if you take one away, it's going to affect something else. That's not his quote exactly, but he did mention, quote unquote, that if you take fighting away from hockey, this is the kind of stuff that will happen. There's obviously more to that quote, but I think he worded it perfectly well there. So obviously protecting your stars part is a very good point. And honestly, if you take out fighting or you take out that physical aspect in the game, these are going to happen more and more. And I'll just say, I think the Department of Player Safety needs to start getting more consistent. This is better than some stuff that they've done, but there's still work to be done. And as Parr has said, what is a call? That is another thing.
Oh, yeah. What is a call?
What is a call? What's
a call? Suspension? What's goalie interference? What's anything? What's anything?
Me and Parr work in environments outside of podcasting that have rules, that have union guidelines, that have set rules. And if you don't follow those
rules, oh yeah,
100%. Okay, if you don't follow them, there's, hey, what are you doing? Okay, sometimes people are wondering if they don't understand those rules. What are we doing? Or what is this? They ask questions. What is it? Hey, as we're the people on the outside looking in, wondering what is supposed to be consistent, but it always goes back to human element. And I understand that, but at the same time, there needs to be more consistency. And I see refs doing things different than different refs and being right in front of the play, and it's not getting called. Just what is a call? Okay, what is a call? Our last thing we'll bring up before we get into our redraft is, obviously, as we sit here today, Alex Ovechkin, not Alex Parr, Alex Ovechkin, as of this day, January 21st.
Basically the same guy.
Is 21. January 21, we're recording this. He's 21 goals away from hitting Ovechkin, and he's got pretty near 30, mid-30s of games to go. And if he didn't get hurt, I think he would have for sure passed it this year. But given his pace, Parr, are we going to see it this year?
I said no originally, but
Me too.
He is lights out. If he wants it as bad as it seems like he does this season, he's going to do it. When I looked at the Sens game, I was curious because Ovechkin was in town, and it was a 1-0 game in overtime, and Ovechkin scored the only goal of that game. I was like, all right, that's it. I'm convinced he's going to do it this season. It's going to be so cool.
He's the best goal scorer of all time, even if he doesn't do that. Let's say he has a catastrophic injury, knock on wood to him. He is still the best goal scorer of all time, that aside, in my honest opinion, Parr. I know if he doesn't pass the record, people may differ, and because he's Russian, not Canadian, look, I'll say it how it is, but he is the best goalie of all time. You put him back in the day, he's going to be scoring a lot of goals.
Give it 10 more years, and it's going to be an American at the top of the goal-scoring leader, so it won't really matter too much.
Yeah, he's a Toronto Maple Leaf right now, I think, is what Alex is putting down there. Alex, we're running out of time. Let's do the 1998 redraft. We know Brennan isn't here to really get into this segment, but we promised this last week and we didn't do it, so we're not going to miss it this week because we did promise it. So we've done drafts all the way up to 1997, and now we're going to do 1998. Just a reminder, NHL redraft, where me and Parr redraft the top 5 of that current year, going back in our time machine. Parr, from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5, whatever you want. Go, take us off.
5 to 1. Number 5, Alex Tanguay. Number 4, Mike Fisher. Number 3, I really wanted him to come to the Leafs, Brad Richards. Number 2, Dave, I'm so sorry that I got to put your boy here, Vinny LeCavalier at number 2, because Datsuk, the Magic Man's got to be number 1 for me.
Love it. Fairly similar. Last time we did a redraft, we actually had the same pick, so Parr and I are same wavelength. But I'm going to go using my usual way that I do it. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks are proud to select 5th overall Robin Regeer. With the 4th overall pick, Vancouver Canucks are proud to select Alex Tanguay. With the 3rd overall pick, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select Brad Richards. Agree with the Toronto Maple Leaf comment there. The 2nd overall pick, the Nashville Predators are proud to select Vincent LeCavalier. Yes. And with the 1st overall pick, could not agree more, Tampa Bay Lightning, the Magic Man, and no, not Mitch Marner, the original Magic Man, Pavel Datsuk. And I know that's not original nicknames. I'm just saying how it is. Pavel Datsuk, number 1 overall in 1998.
I'm too much of a homer. I would have put my favorite player number 1 for sure. So
I'm sure Vinny will understand.
I hope Vinny forgives me.
I hope so too. And hopefully one day he's a guest on this podcast. But nonetheless, Parr, we're hitting the end here. We are going to the end. We have to take a quick break. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
We'll see you next week.
I'll hold you to it. Yeah, I'll be here.
We'll be right back here on the Game Sports Podcast. A lot more to come. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. Dave McCaig continuing to host you. This is segment 2, And I am joined by Jordan Trudeau, co-host with yours truly, for the Chuck-a-Puck segment. Trudes, another week at Chuck-a-Puck. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, Dave. How are you doing?
You know what? I am doing great. And I almost forgot. If you're on video, you just saw me stand up. Okay? You just saw me stand up. If you're not on video, you got
the puck. You ready?
I got the puck ready right here. The Chuck-a-Puck is here, the official Soo Greyhounds game puck. Okay? And I'm going to chuck it. Okay, I heard the little thud. I threw it on the floor, not the wall. It's a new floor and a new wall. I decided to throw it on the floor. Vinyl plank, okay? It's great quality. Okay, that aside, Chuck-a-Puck segment, another week, Trudes. And what a week it was for those Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Just to remind everyone here on Chuck-a-Puck, obviously the heart and the full core of the segment is about the Soo Greyhounds, but we also talk about other teams in the whole Ontario Hockey League as a whole, just so you're aware of that. But obviously, we are focusing on Soo Greyhounds, where the Game Sports Podcast is located in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And for those on the Soo Greyhounds fan Facebook page, obviously we didn't have any clips uploaded last week. We'll get you all caught up with that. But besides that, Trudes, what a week, as I said, for the Hounds on a very lengthy road trip that we talked about last week. That's a very big challenge, but we know Chase Reed was up to the challenge. But in particular, goaltender of the week, Nolan LaLonde, who they got in the Schenkel trade, 2-0, 2 shutouts, 60 saves. Talk about it, my man.
Yeah, you pretty much said it. You summed it up. You summed the weekend up pretty good. 1-2, lost one on the weekend. Nolan LaLonde, he stopped all 60 shots he faced in 6 periods.
Is that good? Can you get any better? I don't know if you can get any better.
I don't think you can get better. Yeah, I know. 7-0 in Kingston on Thursday night. That was we just saw the offense just pour it on. I think it was 5-0 in the second period, like before halfway through the second period. So actually, Thursday I did listen to John Dean on the pregame, on Jerry's pregame. Thursday was the first time, I think, all year he said that he actually had a full healthy lineup to choose from to put on the ice.
That's
so
important.
I think with all of that, and the product finally is healthy that goes out there, that's that's more of a result that we're used to seeing, right, in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah.
So, and you look at the difference in the lineup too. Like, I mean, your first line is Mignosa, Nord, and Allard, and then you roll out Martin, Hayes, Cloutier, Brown in there a little bit. That's your second line. So obviously the top 6 finally getting healthy really, really helped the team this weekend. Not a bad showing in Kingston, 3-1. They were stopped by their former netminder, Charlie Schenkel. He kind of got revenge a little bit, got the win. And then 3-0 win in Ottawa on Sunday afternoon, which was a very well played game as well. I watched the whole game. And I think what's starting to really, really improve this team is defense, focused on their defensive end and taking care of their defensive end. They didn't give up 40, 50 shots per game like we saw in the fall. They gave up 24. They gave up lower than 30 shots in the whole game. So, 30 on the dot, right? Because LaLonde had 60 shots. So, yeah, I think that's a huge, huge difference that we're seeing in this club.
We see that without the contribution of Gibson, who's obviously moved on, right? So this team is starting to step up, right? It's you have to play a little bit different of a system, a different structure. You have to get used to new line combos. When after a trade deadline, you get a little bit of a different look on your team to a degree, and the Hounds do have a different look based on subtraction. And losing Gibson back, their best defenseman, just to say how it is.
Huge. Yeah,
it's massive. It's massive.
And it's awesome to see them getting that production now from, other players, younger players, right? So yeah, you're spot on. That departure of Gibson and now finding success without him is huge for the future of this team as well. So with the great strong play, obviously there were 2 players that were recognized individually, Nolan LaLonde was the goaltender of the week, as you mentioned, stopped all 60 shots he faced, and Chase Reed was also the OHL Rookie of the Week. So he's 17-year-old defenseman that joined the Greyhounds late in the fall, and he's committed to Michigan State. So he actually is a late birthday, so he's not eligible for this year's draft. It's next year's draft.
Yep.
So, but he had 6 assists in 3 games. That's why he got the OHL Rookie of the Week. So a lot, like,
and that's what you want to see, right? For this type of season, what you want to see is the results of your young players stepping up and getting the recognition in the league. If that's a player of the week, if that is a specific star in the week, either way, whatever you want to look at it, but also putting up numbers, statistics, showing that improvement, getting that experience and not hindering any development. But as a team that's looking for those steps forward, to see rookies and young players be recognized for their good play and playing overall good on the ice, that's a positive outlook for fans. Okay, we're not going out there this year as a Soo Greyhound, as a team. I'm saying that as a Soo Greyhounds whole, when I use the word we there, I want to make sure I emphasize that the goal this year, as much as everyone says, well, you want to win. You want to win every game that you're in. You want to, that's important. And everyone's going to tell you that. You're not going to hear somebody, too many people come out and says, yeah, losing that game is going to develop character. Like, oh yeah, we meant to lose that game. No, we really meant to lose that game. We really want to tank. We really want to get a top 3 pick this year. No, you don't hear that, right? So as fans this year of the team, if you're a spectator of the Soo Greyhounds, even as an organization, the goals were not to win a championship. The goals were to be competitive on the ice, put out the best product that you can, to try to ensure that you have the community backing and support to want to come to the games, but also see these young players, and most importantly, these young players grow and develop chemistry together for years to come, next year, year after. And that second year that I mentioned is probably that pivotal year that I would say that you want to be not only just contending, but you want to be a top team in the OHL looking at Memorial Cup. You want to be looking at, and potentially if you're Sault Ste. Marie, you want to be trying to host that Memorial Cup, right? And that was something I wanted to bring up this week, Truths. And if we have time, and if I know following time constraints, we'll get to that maybe in a few moments, if not this week, next week. But I think, as I said, this year it's a growth year. So just seeing these accolades, especially for Chase Reed, that shows, future. So the future's bright overall for the organization.
Very bright, and very bright for him too. Like 19 points in 15 games since joining the team as a rookie.
Is that good?
Playing top minutes. Yeah, playing. He basically just took Gibson's spot when Gibson left for World Juniors.
Yep.
So yeah, huge props to him. And he sounds like a very smart defenseman too. I just read his quote from the article that he had over the weekend, he was talking about not overcomplicating things in the D zone. And that's coming from a 17-year-old. That's pretty mature. So
yeah,
props to the individual accolades and the group, like successful weekend as a group. So, I think that was probably a very enjoyable bus ride home from Ottawa. Long
Long bus ride, enjoyable. The movies were probably just going on that bus.
Yeah. They were all one or the other. So.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess either way.
And even some board games going on. Look, I heard that's back in style. If anyone in the dressing room with the Hounds, or if any Billet family members want to comment, do you know if the players play board games still there? Okay, I can't remember the game now. It was the board with the ticks that you put into the holes. Wow, people are going to be like, Dave, what are you trying to say? So I'm not going to, it's got colors and you try to put it into the, is it cribbage? Is that what it is? I know
that's a card game too, though.
Okay. So either way.
Games, yeah.
Either way, you got that. You also got apps. You could do a whole lot of things, but the board game feature was always something to look forward to. And cards, right? Cards were always fun to play. So I'd love to know what they do on the bus now, okay, for games. If any player, Billet family, wants to share what is played on the bus besides movies and sleeping and eating Subway and pizza or McDonald's or whatever they're eating, I want to know, okay, what the games are. All right, that's what I want to know. What's on the docket this week for the Hounds, Trudes? What are we looking at from a schedule perspective? The day that we're recording, just January 21st, there are some games this week if you're in Sault Ste. Marie to get your buttocks to the GFL to watch. And what games are those?
There are going to be some good games too.
Yeah.
There's this Friday against Flint, and Sunday London comes to town. So they're always fun to watch. They're top of the West. Actually, it's a potential playoff matchup as well because they're at the very top. The Hounds are fighting for a playoff spot right now. So, that's always fun when London comes to town, but the added excitement of a potential playoff matchup between the two teams, even if it does heavily favor London, is cool because it hasn't happened in a while. And then, so those are the two games this weekend, next Wednesday and Friday, when they take on Kitchener and Brantford, respectively. So 4 solid opponents coming up. They are 2 points trailing Sarnia for the 7th playoff spot in the Western Conference, and they are in the 8th spot by 6 points. So there's 2 months left of the season now. There's no easy games left. They've played Peterborough twice. Either your opponent is chasing you or they're ahead of you in the standings for now. So a lot on the line for sure.
Lots, right? And I think it's very vital that this team, has this playoff race, despite if you're bottom, top. We know that this is, I talked about this about 5 minutes ago now, that there's a thing that we got to make sure that this is important. I think it's very important for this young team to get that playoff taste, despite if you played London, whoever is at the top, because it's experience. 4 games, 5 games, 6, 7 games. If you take them the limit, or if you're a Cinderella team and you go further, that's even more impressive. But getting that playoff experience is so important to these young guys on this team. And I think it would be very good to get your butts down to the GFL to not only watch this game, but you're going to see probably that playoff matchup that we're going to see in the first round here in Sault Ste. Marie. And it's going to be a matchup that, heavily favors London. But I'm sure the Hounds, given that they're a competitive team that doesn't like to be counted out of games, they're going to make it enjoyable for us to watch. If LaLonde is going to be stopping the puck like he is, Landon Miller, if he can be that potential guy to, stop the puck like he can, they can steal games, and that can come handy in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I mean, a goalie can win you a playoff series, right? So if a goalie gets hot, it's not like they're in 8th place right now. I'm just looking at the standings. It's not impossible. Like they're 9 points away from Erie, who holds the 4th spot. So if you go on a run, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not expecting the Greyhounds to finish top 4 in the conference here, but they could move. Like they have the opportunity to move up, and if you're beating teams that are ahead of you, you're just gaining that much more advantage, right? Because you're getting the confidence, and you're kind of moving up 4 points because you cost them 2 points and you gain 2 yourself.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're probably going to see Windsor or London in the first round, even Kitchener. If you end up 6th, Kitchener's they're going to be tough to beat in the first round. So you're looking at a first round exit if the Greyhounds make the playoffs, but like you're saying, it's going to mean that much more down the road just to get some of the guys in a playoff game, like getting the Chase Reed, Jordan Sharon, Brady T.
Meaningful
Smith,
game. That meaningful
Brady
game.
Smith, getting these
The Brady bunch. The Brady bunches.
Given Brady bunch, giving them just that sense, that idea of playoff hockey. And like you said, the Memorial Cup bid coming back to the OHL when this current crop is in their prime year, their 19-year-old year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I like that. I like that segue because I know time, we're obviously tight for time this week. So I like that. Here's what we'll do. I promise you this, listeners, okay? When I have a promise, I don't forget. I promise you that. On top of that,
I will,
promise.
so you'll have to remind me.
We'll be talking about the Memorial Cup bid for the Greyhounds, kind of an overall view, but also important facts about the Memorial Cup bid and views from Trudeau and I. We'll talk about that next week on Chuck a Puck, okay? That I assure you, when we can pretty much devote most of the time. Where next week we'll touch on this weekend that's coming up, and also next week games, give you a little preview and any news and a tidbit, but we'll make sure we devote most of the time to the Memorial Cup bid. And on top of that, we'll see if we can get a guest to come chime in on that as well. But nonetheless, If we can't, you got me and Trudeau. And we got you. Okay,
Yeah.
we got you. And if you want to participate and come on the show and be a fan guest of the Chuck a Puck segment, just comment, interact. We'll arrange that with you. Don't be shy. We don't bite. And plus, we're on video. We can't bite you. Okay?
That's right.
We can't bite. Okay, we may debate with you, but that's all the point is. That's what the whole segment of this is. And that's the whole fun thing with Chuck a Puck.
I'm also wearing my Blue Jays shirt today.
I
just throw that in there too. Like,
yeah.
Thank goodness Ross the boss, finally
made a move.
Pulling out some stops there. Yeah, so
he still has more to do. If you're
spring training again, so
we still have more to do. And Trudes, we're gonna have to get you in on a strike zone segment with Henderson. I think that'd be an absolute blast. We'll do that more as the season comes close. But yes, if you're a Blue Jay fan, I guess there's a little bit of happiness to see, a little bit of kind of a cool off given all the stuff that's happened. Just a glimmer.
Okay, we're in this fight too.
Somewhat, which is so sad.
Yeah.
I still have my vent, and I'll get to that because that's going to be on the show with Connor. So got a lot to get to there. So Trudes, I know it was a quick segment this week. We dove into a lot of points to touch on, a lot of accolades to touch on with Chase Reed and also with Nolan LaLonde. Love to see that. Keep it up, boys. There's a lot of games. So there's a lot of games coming up, especially at home. Enjoy it. Get out and cheer on your Hounds, right, Trudes? Get out there and support the lads. They love to see it, and that rink can get loud. I remember it as a kid. It still can be the same. Get out there and cheer no matter what the degree of the game is, right?
Yeah, keep coming. There's actually been really good at attendance the past few years, so Keep the support, keep it coming, and that'll only help our hopeful Memorial Cup bid down the road.
Perfect segue again, Trudes. You're on fire with these segues today. I love it. Trudeau, my friend, thank you. Yet another great week of Chuck a Puck. We'll be back next week. Thanks again, Trudes.
Thank you, Dave. We'll see you next week.
We'll be right back here on the Game Sports Podcast. I've got 2 segments still coming your way here. Yeah, there's a lot of content coming from the game this week, and it's fire. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. And oh, baby, am I pumped for this segment for a lot of reasons. But we don't have the usual time that we have for it, so there's a lot to get to. So let me introduce the co-host joining for our Strike Zone segment. Yes, you heard it. Our Strike Zone segment in the offseason for baseball. The one, the only, the Rookie of the Year. If you know, you know. Connor Henderson, my friend. Great to talk to you. Great to see you. Great having this segment with you early, and congratulations to you and all around. A great year in 2025 coming for the Game Sports Podcast family here.
Thanks very much, Dave. It's good that you snuck me in here in the off season. I'm glad we've got really cool topics to talk about. We've got the Hall of Fame, we've got the Roki Sasaki signing with the Dodgers, and some very special Jays news that we can get to today.
Wow!
Congratulations to you as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot, and you're wearing a heated blanket right now. And if the day of this recording, it is freezing everywhere. Okay, it's cold. Stay warm, stay inside, and most importantly, take care of your pets. Okay, if that's too, don't put them outside and leave them out there. Okay, let them out for a quick little whiz and let them back in the house. Okay, like take care of your pets. Sorry, random point to bring here on the Game on Strike Zone. I don't think I've ever talked about a pet on this segment. It's first time for everything. All right, Connor. So we got the 3 topics we want to talk about first. I want to dive into the Hall of Fame first. Quiz. Before we talk about the inductees this year, do you know the year that the Hall of Fame did its first inductees ever? I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't.
1936 was the first ever Hall of Fame inductions. The names: Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Babe Ruth, now that name, and Honus Wagner, another big name. So that was the first Hall of Fame inductees in the MLB, the first 5, 1936. Look, we drop facts here on this show. Okay, now fast forward to 2025. We have our new 5 that are going to be getting inducted into the MLB, into the Hall of Fame inductees. May I say, Dick Allen, Dave Parker, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Suzuki, first Japanese-born player to be put into the Hall of Fame. Won't be the only. And Billy Wagner. Now, Connor, take it away with the Hall of Fame inductees. Great names to this list this year.
Yeah, Dave, I've got one gripe to pick, and it's that Ichiro Suzuki was 1 voter away from getting the unanimous vote on his first
Who is this
ballot.
guy? Who is this guy? Where is this guy, girl, person? Where is?
Just so frustrating and pathetic. My understanding is that Mariano Rivera is the only 100% first ballot Hall of Famer.
Fact. Fact. I believe that's true. Yes, I was reading that fact too. Read my mind.
And Jeter was very close, but he got nailed a bit as well by a couple of votes. Ichiro, 1 vote off. It's inexcusable. This guy was surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know who could leave him off the list. The only thing that was weak in his career was his power. Like, he wasn't a home run hitter, but
it's not his type.
Every other facet of the game, especially in the era where he played, where now currently today, okay, power is more important, but during Ichiro's, career lifespan, the guy was a 310 career hitter and played till age 45. So it's not like he was padding his numbers by retiring early. Like, he played until he could not play.
Yep.
First ballot Hall of Famer in my book, Dave. I don't know about you, but
good defensively. He was a top of the lineup hitter, which back in the day that was so coveted. That leadoff hitter is now we don't see that type of leadoff hitter anymore. It's not as much, right? We don't see that over 300 speedster that's going to steal bases. There are some teams that still have that. I'm a fan of that, but that game has moved away from that. But he did that, like I said, defensively, good numbers. He represented Japan so successfully. He was such an icon, both the MLB, but also where he was from in Japan. And he made an impact in the world of baseball. So that one person, take a lap, dude. Take a lap and get your facts in. And look, if you listen to this show, you can unfollow if you want almost. That's how I almost feel like, because you are crazy for thinking that he does not have to be unanimous. Just like Jeter, I feel like he should have been too, just because of who he is, Derek Jeter. All right, so Ichiro Suzuki getting in, that's great. I was kind of not surprised because he deserves to be there. I totally just forgot about Billy Wagner. It's not that I don't think he should have been there. It's just like I feel like after he retired, it's like, see ya. But now we see Billy Wagner, well, his son, right? There's obviously affiliation on the Toronto side of things, but nonetheless, Billy Wagner, you're just like, oh yeah, that guy, I forgot about that guy for a second. And then he deserved to be there too. But one name that's not on that list, Connor, without going into it too much, is Pete Rose. Okay, and you and I talked about this during the season, that we hope that he wouldn't have been on this list because of what his recent passing. We hope that just don't put him on there after he passes, because he's been waiting his whole life to be put on. If they would have did it this year, I would have been so frustrated. I do expect within the next couple of years, though, they maybe not next year, but 2027, 2028, something like that, I think it's time to bring in Pete Rose's name into this list of 5 for the MLB inductees. Okay, now maybe that's not a hot topic or a favorable topic for everybody, but guess what? It is what it is, Connor. That name has to be there soon. But we're talking the 5 that did get inducted. Ichiro is a big part of that. Dick Allen, big name too. But all these names, obviously they're big names. But the one that surprised me in a good way was definitely Billy Wagner.
Yeah, he got that 10-year bump that you sometimes see. I understand that he was maybe on his last year of eligibility and he snuck in.
Yeah.
And CC Sabathia, all the props to him as well. Big left-hander, 6-time All-Star. During our childhood, he was, the face of starting pitching in some respects, alongside guys like Justin Verlander, who are also at the tail end of their career now. Props to CC. Good for him.
Great to see. And speaking of Justin Verlander, new San Francisco Giant, obviously there's been
right.
some free agent signings. There's been some moves. And look, we don't have the time to vent as much as I want, and we're going to talk Blue Jays when we get to that point, so I can save that piece. But there is a player, Roki Sasaki, who's been signed, went somewhere to nobody's surprise, to a team called the LA Dodgers. Okay, not the Los Angeles Angels, not the San Diego Padres, not that the Angels were in it at all, but the Blue Jays, who apparently were in it, they're in for everybody, feels like. And the Dodgers just are getting everybody, Connor. Like, when's enough here? Like, I don't, it's, I wish, I know it's fair. They got him fair. He wants to play with his friends. As Ohtani, Yamamoto's there. The crew is there. But come on, like, I really dislike the Dodgers just getting everybody, man. It's annoying. But Sasaki goes there, and that team is just so scary, dude. If they don't win again, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a definitely rich getting richer situation. What makes it even crazier is that since he's considered an international free agent, he gets paid rookie salary. He gets like a 6.5, I think, $1 million signing bonus. But unlike Yamamoto, who came over last year and signed an over $300 million 12-year contract, biggest guaranteed contract in the history of MLB pitching, Sasaki's coming in on the cheap because if he would have waited 2 more years in Japan, he would have been eligible to sign like a massive deal because he would have been over the age of 25.
Yeah.
But since he's 23, he gets the rookie salary and they get 6 years of team control. So they've got him on the cheap. And for those who don't know, he was on par with Yamamoto when they pitched in Japan together. And he throws 100 miles an hour. At 6'2", 180 pounds, which is crazy. 100 miles an hour, starting pitcher, and has this insane splitter, like this wipeout splitter. It seems to be the thing from these Japanese pitchers, whether it's guys like Masahiro Tanaka, Yu Darvish. They seem to come over from Japan, and I don't know if it's just a more popular pitch, the split-fingered fastball, but it's so deadly, and you don't see it as much from the North American guys. Paul Skeens would be one who is kind of championing that now for the American arms.
Stud, by the way.
Complete stud. But it's like it's such a deadly pitch that it begs the question, like, why aren't more, like, is it maybe a strain on the elbow thing? Maybe they're just it's not taught as much. But that split-fingered fastball combo for Roki Sasaki is deadly.
It is.
Did you believe for a moment that the Jays were in on him?
Nope. No one did.
No.
No one truly did. No one truly did. As soon as after, well, you could say after Ohtani, pretty much, but officially after Soto, it's like, nah, I don't believe.
It's Charlie Brown with the football, Dave. Like, they just keep pulling it away from us, and
literally. And I like the Tigers' approach right now. It's like, oh, we don't go after these guys. They just get some sign. They do their thing. No one
don't want us anyway.
they don't even bother jumping in. Toronto, I could say, well, at least they're trying. Nah, bro. Just not.
Yeah.
I don't even want them. Just don't even tell me you're trying, especially if you're not going to get it. And like, when you go up against the Dodgers or the Yankees, you're going against these guys. The Yankees, I'm not as concerned about. It's just as soon as I see a Japanese player and I hear the Dodgers, I'm like, okay. I'd leave the room. Right. I'm out. Ohtani's there. You got Yamamoto. You got Sasaki. You got guys that are going to want to go there now. LA is a very coveted place to play. It's a very attractive place to play, especially from Japan. So like there's a lot there that the Blue Jays can't contend with, and that's the world with baseball. Not just because they're a better team. Location, as you hear for everything. And it's unfortunate because I think that our fan base is unbelievable. It's sick, and I mean because I'm speaking on behalf of Canada. Blue Jays do represent all of Canada. For a lot, I know a lot of people like the Tigers, where we're from, and different American teams, but a big majority of Canada cheer for the Jays, and we show that as fans at the Rogers Center a lot. And that's, I think, and when I heard that Bo Bichette, Dalton Varsho, and Chad Green were the guys that met with Sasaki, I almost laughed my fucking ass off. Sorry to swear. I said, well, what, Chad Green didn't move the needle? Like, are you kidding me right now? Dude, like, where's Vlad here? Like, Vlad, go sit down. Where's the legends? Like, where's anybody else? Delgado, I don't really care. Anybody, Joe Carter, like, get legends in there or something to really pitch this. I don't want to be like, oh, this is Bo Bichette. Oh, hi. Cool. Bichette's good. Varsho, nice to meet you. Nice. Okay. Chad Green.
The Chad Green slander was not what I expected today.
Oh, Chad!
but it makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
All respect to Chad Green, good ball player. Okay, I'm just saying that he's not the guy that's going to move the needle. Okay, like if you put in a room with Chad Green or you put Mariano Rivera, which room are you going into? I'm sorry, or you put a room with Ohtani or you put a room with Chad Green. What room are you going into? It's Ohtani every time. Don't bullshit me. It's Ohtani every time. I know we don't have. I don't want to go overtime and anything. Sasaki to the Dodgers. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah, congratulations, Dodgers. You win another one. Dodgers, you win another one. Blue Jays signed Anthony Santander, $92 million, 5-year contract, 44 homers last year. This is a guy who can hit bombs. He's done very well since 2022, hitting bombs. He's definitely not a guy. People are saying, well, he strikes out a lot. He's not good defensively. He's going to be playing DH. is where his role is going to be for a majority. He might play a little time in the outfield once in a blue moon, but his forte is hitting bombs. And then when Vlad's on base, we won't be left stranded with him on there. Or he'll get on base, hits for powers, hits a lot of doubles. He gets a lot of extra base hits. Good signing by the Blue Jays. A good little rebound. But before I get into a little bit more, Connor, what is your take on the Anthony Santander going to the Blue Jays?
I like it. It's good to see them finally get a win. I know he's 30 years old, and some people are concerned about the age, but at this point, they gotta give Vladdy a reason to want to stick around, and part of that is building a core around him of support. Who's somebody who can slot in behind Vladdy in the lineup and hit dingers or protect him, so that if he strikes out or if he gets out, that there's somebody who's going to pick him up behind and drive in the runs. I like the signing.
Me too.
I get.
I don't feel happy about it though. I don't because I'm so pissed off. Like if you're a Blue Jays fan, you're pissed off because of the hope. Atkins and Shapiro, dude. I don't even want to get in. I've talked about it on the show a lot. Not there for me. And it's as a Blue Jay fan, enough's enough, and you're just over it. You feel it's a win, cool. Yay, but you just don't feel that because of what you could have had, or you just feel upset because not getting what they got. I don't think the Blue Jays should be done. They should be adding another bat. They definitely need to add another piece of that rotation, and they definitely need to add to the bullpen at least 3 more signings still need to happen to take it away as a maybe on the successful side this offseason. There's still a few players away to even look at getting back into the playoff picture, let alone contending, because Bo Bichette, they're relying on being healthy. Vlad, and what have I said for the last every podcast that we've done? I'm going to add a new word in there. Fucking man. Enough's enough. Give him the check. What does he want? 700? I don't care. Give it to him.
Yeah, you know what? Like
3 swears. Right. 3 swears a segment. I'm sorry.
we're gonna get a jar out for you, Dave. But you know what? Like there's no more goodwill from this Toronto Blue Jays management. They've burned through whatever goodwill that they have. So yeah, it totally makes sense that you're not getting excited for the Santander trade where it's, it's good, but
it's a thumbs
what's
up.
Next?
What are you going to do?
Next?
What are they going to do? Now, before I let you go, Connor, because we're right now short on time, the Blue Jays, obviously, we're going to, when we do our season preview show, we'll do a grade for the offseason officially then, because the offseason is like really long in baseball and in terms of signings to happen last minute. So we'll make sure that we do an overall season reaction for some clickbait as well for all the listeners before we do our season preview show. But definitely 3 core topics here to talk about. But let me give you the floor for 20 seconds here. Detroit Tigers. Was that a little story that is going to burn out in the season, or are the Tigers here, baby? Are the Tigers here?
Oh man, you know what? Like I really hope that the ownership doesn't think, oh, look at we did a great thing without paying anybody. Let's not do that anymore. We never have to pay people now. It was a historic run. It was great to be there. I was at playoff game 4 in Detroit against Cleveland, where we had a chance to lock the series down and lost. I hear that the contract negotiations with Bregman are still going on, but are at a standstill. So hopefully, the dam breaks and there's something to cheer for on that front. But like the Jays fans, I'm not getting my hopes up either.
See, and is it very bad to say I feel like it's just easy to pick a winner now, Connor, this year? Maybe that's the other fact to me. It's just that the Dodgers are just so good. But despite Suzuki going to the Dodgers, boo. Despite the Blue Jays signing Santander, yay. But boo off season so far. But the Hall of Fame, Ichiro Suzuki, except the unanimous guy with the one that made it, boo. There's a couple thumbs down to that, but I think Suzuki is a great. All of them were great ads this year. Kudos to Billy Wagner. Thanks for coming back out of the sun. And just I never forgot totally about Billy Wagner overall. But nonetheless, Connor, this has been Strike Zone, my man. And 15, 16 minutes now have flown by, and we just dove into multiple topics. There's definitely more we can dive into. And getting ready, man, because the preseason is 1 month away, dude. 1 month away. Season is less than around 60-ish days away before first pitch.
I can't wait, Dave. We're going to have a great year.
Oh, excited. A lot of things this year coming, especially for personal lives. Excited. All smiles here on the Game Sports Podcast. Connor, thanks. Until next time, man. It might not be the next week's episode, but never know if more news happens until the preseason or till the season's done, until we hit the spring training. I want to say thank you for taking the time, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dave.
The one, the only, as I say, for all my guests, but I have a different nickname for each one. The Rookie of the Year, if you know, you know, to search Google. Okay, the legend himself, Connor Henderson. This has been David McCaig with the Game Sports Podcast talking to you with Strike Zone, but we got more here on the game. One more segment coming your way. In the Pocket, an NCAA football championship to talk about, and we got the Final Four going on in the NFL. Sorry, Detroit Lions fans. Unfortunate for you is for sure. But nonetheless, we got more here coming on the game, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. Your host, David McCaig, continuing to host you this evening. We're now in the pocket, the In the Pocket segment. I'm joined by co-host with yours truly for In the Pocket, Justin Hykel. Hike, my friend, good to see you. How's everything?
Good to be here. Good to, it's not good to be talking about Lions for the Lions fans, but yeah, that was an interesting week we just went through there, and it's honestly the college game too, pretty interesting. I thought there was going to be a little more competition there, but yeah, we got quite a bit to talk about in a short football week.
Yeah, there's a good plate of food to dive into. And I got to say that to all the listeners and viewers, EJ Russell says hi. Of course, he'll be away until for the remainder of this In the Pocket season, but he'll be back for season 9 next year for In the Pocket. I know people are definitely wondering and noticing the absence of EJ, the third member of our In the Pocket segment. But you know what? Justin and I got this on lockdown right now, and we're nearing the end of the football season. It's already flown by, my friend. It's near the end. We are hitting the Final Four in the National Football League. We are in the end talks now with college football. And now looking into, after next week, I'm going to remind listeners that when it comes to Pro Bowl week, we don't do a In the Pocket segment for Pro Bowl week. So just so everybody knows, there won't be In the Pocket next week. So we won't have reaction about these 4 games, but we'll definitely preview the Super Bowl, of course, in a longer segment to make up for our absence next week. So just to remind you. And a last reminder, In the Pocket is sponsored by Sports Center Bar and Grill, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario's best sports bar, over 5 years in a row, best wings in town. Look, Sports Center Bar and Grill. If you're in Sault Ste. Marie, make sure that you're going there to enjoy the game, football, hockey, whatever it may be. And if you're from outside of Sault Ste. Marie tuning in, make sure that you're hitting like, follow, and subscribe either way on both ends. But if you come into Sault Ste. Marie, get on down to Wellington Street West, go to Sports Center Bar and Grill, and get in there to enjoy the sports atmosphere. It's that true atmosphere. It's got that vibe. You get that delicious food, that bar food, and just a delicious food, and then wash it down with a nice cold beverage. Nonetheless, Sports Center Bar and Grill, the original home of the Game Sports show at the time, now the Game Sports Podcast since 2016. They've been a part of the family, and we appreciate all that Sports Center Bar and Grill does with us and has done for us, and continues to work with us as being a part of the family with the game. So, Justin, football. Let's start with the NCAA. I think that's a good way to start, and then we can end with the NFL, of course. And if you're an Ohio State fan, look, congratulations. Justin and I both predicted this game to happen after Notre Dame. And if you're Joe Bowen, who is a friend of the Game Sports Podcast, been on the show a couple times, took his first time off in 43 years to watch Notre Dame, or maybe 46. It's either 46 or 43 years to watch Notre Dame in that finals against Ohio State. And unfortunately, it wasn't the outcome that Notre Dame fans were hoping for. But even in that last couple quarters, even though Notre Dame got 16 in the last 2 quarters and Ohio State only got 13, Ohio State came out gunning. And even in the first half or first quarter, Notre Dame was up 7-0 early, but that second quarter, 21 points by Ohio State. It's like they said, oh yeah, I remember how we got here. Oh yeah, right? This Ohio State team was just too much, and they came into this whole playoff run, and it was impressive, Justin, right from start to finish. The biggest, I think, statement was beating Oregon, how bad they did. Really, like how convincing that W was. Like, it wasn't even a win. Like, I've seen some ass kicking in my life, and that was an ass kicking. And Ohio State showed that they looked great the entire playoff run, and that they deserve to get that championship this year.
Yeah, quick shout out to Notre Dame for just battling that entire game. National championship game. So, you kind of expect quality teams, and Notre Dame was clawing back that entire second half of the game. They had Ohio State pinned for a little bit,
Yeah.
just not enough. That, like you said, that second quarter was an absolute difference maker.
Yeah.
And I just want to comment quickly. Ryan Day's beard, how is it as dark as it is? Running a college football program, I would imagine there's some stress there. There's no way that it is like naturally that pristine in color.
Pristine color.
Pristine. Maybe I'm a little jealous, but I'm
just for men.
I'm thinking there might be some just for men action going on there.
And I want to know the type of just for men that was being used there.
Yeah, okay. Asphalt black, I think, was the
asphalt black, or actual asphalt. Like we don't know yet.
Or the new Ohio State black.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? Honestly, Will Howard and Riley Leonard played good games. Pair of touchdowns each, almost identical in stats. Okay, almost identical across the stat line.
There were a couple throws, both sides of the ball, that was like, these guys are pros. Like these
guys can, especially Will Howard, impressive. And Quinshon Judkins really hit 100 yards, couple touchdowns for Ohio State. That's massive. And Jeremiah Smith, right? The kid's a stud. Everyone's a fan of Jeremiah. And honestly, I feel that Ohio State really, really proved themselves. And I think Sid agrees as well. Justin, I think your daughter agrees as well with our take here on Ohio State. But with Ohio State winning that game, they were the better team. The better team did win that game, but kudos to Notre Dame sticking around. But Ohio State just looked to be too much, and they were for that football game between Ohio and Notre Dame. Final score 34-23. Ohio State wins the national championship. I guess we'll see what next year brings when it comes to the college football season. I think this was a great overall year with college football. And kudos to the NCAA and everything going into this year. I think this was a good step, getting a lot of engaged fans from outside. I feel like this was just a step forward this year for some reason. I feel like this was just an overall exciting year of college football.
I think the NCAA has done a good job now of presenting the college product as like a true feeder system to the NFL.
Yep.
And honestly, in some aspects of the presentation, it's better than what the NFL does.
Yep.
It's more engaging for the fans. Like it kind of hits its target market right on the head on a lot of aspects. And the college football playoff, there's probably going to be some changes to it, but I thought it was pretty solid this year. Like, teams getting home games, through the holidays. Like that's awesome. That's some cool stuff for the fan base, for the alumni. For us watching at home, like there's a lot of good sports eating on TV
there is.
Through late December, early January. And it's we're the 22nd, 23rd of January now, and we're still talking college football. So, March Madness is going to fire up here in another couple weeks, and we're still talking football. I don't even know what good teams there are in college basketball right now.
Who's the GM? Who's the GM, Justin?
I have absolutely no idea. Full disclosure.
That's great. Good kudos to the NCAA overall. It's just the teams this year. Ohio State, congratulations. Hard for me to say as an Oregon fan, but there's a lot of Ohio State and, of course, Michigan fans where Justin and I are located. So I know there's a few happy people out there with Ohio State seeing them getting away, and they were very impressive to watch. NFL, Justin, look, in the pocket started with talking about NFL, and obviously we talked NCAA, we've incorporated the local aspect, but obviously NFL has been the meat and potatoes of the show. Even that 3.5-hour segment on Podomatic that I wonder if anyone has looked to try to find. I hope
that's in the archive somewhere.
So my goodness, and a lot of beers were down the old hatchet. Okay. Wings and beers that night, and I don't know what we're even talking about.
More beers than wings, for sure.
3.5 hours of one segment. That's one segment, people. We couldn't do the other segments because we were 3.5 hours deep.
Who paid the tab when we left? Because I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Maybe Frank had that one, or maybe Dustin. Who knows? Somebody had that bill. But NFL, Justin, what a good week of NFL as well, okay? Like, for watching sake. But I was heartbroken for the Lions. Okay, Lions is a team that I picked since day one to win the Super Bowl. And I know there are a lot of other people's favorites. Justin and I had them winning this game and going all the way. This was the year to see Slim Shady cheering on his Lions in the finals and all the Sioux friends that we have finally getting over that pain. And they go against the Washington Commanders, who came out of nowhere this season because of the impressive season by Jaden Daniels. And they went into Ford Field, and that second quarter took over that football game. Another second quarter, 28 points. 28 points. They couldn't come back from it, and Goff decided to throw not one, not two, 3 interceptions in that game himself.
Well,
Tough look for Jared Goff.
When you get your brain scrambled in the first half and there's no call on it.
Good point.
I mean, as a rule, if that were any teams in the AFC,
Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, that's probably a call, and the ball's coming back. So that's not a turnover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a TSN turning point. I mean, your quarterback still got cranked. But I honestly believe, and maybe this isn't true, but I believe it, so I'm going to say it. I don't think that the coaches should be all wrapped up in this, hey, we want to interview you. Hey, we want to interview you. Hey, we want to interview you. I mean, naturally it's going to happen. These guys want to be head coaches somewhere. But it seemed to me like there were some play calls and there were some things that happened where the coaches' heads weren't necessarily in the game. I mean,
that's a good point.
Maybe they were shell-shocked because Washington was feeding them their lunch in the second half.
Feeding them.
But 12 men on the field on the goal line, when you could turn it over and again change the momentum of the game, it was still one score at that point. Pardon my French, but what the fuck? It's not the CFL. Why do you got 12 guys in the field? Not one person on the sideline could have said timeout, or anything.
Yelled it. Stop the play.
Come on. That's sloppy. Sloppy. And now the guy's the head coach of the Jets. So
gets kicked out a handful of days ago.
It seems
and he's got a football job.
I don't know.
I'm not a fan of that either. Where when they're in the playoffs, you don't talk to my play. You don't talk to my coach. You don't talk to when I'm eliminated or when I win the Super Bowl. Whenever that is, or when my season's done, that's when you can maybe have permission to talk to my coach. And if my coach is under contract, you're not talking to him. Sorry. And if you want to get fired or you want to leave and quit, do that. But that just shows who you are as a person if you're going to quit out of a contract in the National Football League. So I'm sorry. I don't like how that is a thing. And I'll tell you as a Steelers fan, hearing that the Steelers said absolutely not to the Bears, I don't think Tomlin would have entertained it just because of how Tomlin is. But yeah, go fuck yourself. Sorry. No, we have him under contract as a fan of the Steelers. He is a coach there for 5 years. And unless he gets fired, he's a Steeler coach. End of story. And that's why I am so happy that you said that, because his mind, these Lions coaches that are getting, that have opportunities to leave and have left, they have their minds elsewhere. And people say that there isn't. Bullshit. There is. They are. They know. They're human beings. It's on their mind.
It's not like the team was going to hire you anyways. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be better to win?
Well, from a negotiating your salary perspective, I would like to have a Super Bowl win on my resume versus a first round loss.
Heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
The Lions are the better football team. They should have won that game. But in that game, they were not playing Lions football, and the better team showed up.
It's playoff football, and Washington is really the hot hand.
Cinderella story.
The Lions having that bye week, and I think we talked about this previously, could have went one of two ways. I think the Lions' key to success was momentum.
Yeah,
they were just a steamroller. biting off kneecaps, etc. all season, overcoming adversity with all these injuries. And then they had a week off and womp womp.
That's it. Womp womp.
Now they're in Cancun with the Vikings. See you in 2 weeks.
Campbell saw him in 2 weeks. Rams and the Eagles. Eagles get away with that win. Obviously, given time, we're not going to dive into each other game. But
but Saquon and the offensive line, kudos.
Yes, Saquon is just period this year. Just that's it. He's that guy. He's that guy.
Imagine
cold ice in his veins.
Imagine being the GM of the Giants and you said on national TV that you didn't really need him.
Sometimes people got to learn to keep their actions and words to themselves, especially when you're on a televised, in media and you're got a spotlight on you. Just keep your mouth shut. Just be like, yeah, we lost. We lost him. Unfortunately, it sucks to lose a talented player like that, but we got to move on as an organization. Done. Textbook answer. Call it what it is. Be a textbook answer, or just shut your mouth. That's all.
So if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, some Giants fans gonna pie face that guy in the middle of the street.
Oh, so hard. Yep, 100%. And of course, the Chiefs get the win over Houston. Not a lot of people like seeing the Chiefs getting, where they are, but it was a closer game than maybe some anticipated. But Stroud played well, Mixon played well. Mahomes just, the guy that took it away, had the 117 freaking yards, top-notch game. Yeah, that guy, Travis Kelce, the guy who's showing up in that game. He's feeling good.
I was going to say he's feeling 22 out there.
Leaving it at that. Love it. Love it. Bills in the Ravens game, though. Oh, we'll say quick because this I wanted to say, we're going a little extra. But Andrews. Oh, man. I'm sorry. On behalf of, I feel for him, okay? But this is a guy who's a big part of that offense, along with Henry and Jackson. And just that whole team is very good offensively.
It's a bad beat. That's what it is.
Weather, I feel like pressure a bit, but weather, I just feel like overall there's just something there. There's no way 9 out of 10 times. Now I can't say 10 out of 10 times because I would have said 10 out of 10 if you asked me if Andrew's going to catch that in the end zone.
He's not dropping it ever again.
No, he's not. And that game, that score gets you tied in the football game. That changes the whole outlook of that game. That puts Josh Allen to really have to kick in his MVP shoes. And I feel like Jackson and Henry, and I think that would have just been a different momentum swing for the Ravens. It would have been completely different for them.
And to touch on it a little bit, I would say that Lamar got cranked a couple times too, where there maybe should have been.
Yeah. A little inconsistent this past week on the calls, 100%.
Good reffing crew, though, by the sounds of it, for the Super Bowl. Big, big biceps Ron Torbert running it. So
you got to get the best. You got to get the best at all times. You got to get the best.
If you know, you know.
I'm going to have to give that a Google later.
Yeah, he's out there wearing the extra medium ref shirts. So
the women's or the men's medium?
Oh, the men's, but extra medium.
Extra medium.
Really tight on the sleeves.
Final Four, Justin. We got a Final Four with the matches between the Commanders and the Eagles. Then you got the Bills and Chiefs, the matchup that people were waiting for on the other side. And we don't get to state our pick'em standings because Justin and I talked about this off air a little bit. But I got to say it, obviously, because this has been a very successful year at a near 70% for me. And I know EJ had to back out after week 13 or 14 around that area to picking consistently. So it went down to me and Justin for the last few weeks for the most part. But I got first in the pick'em this year. I know people that won't. Well, why aren't you excited? Why aren't you cheering or rubbing it in? I wish EJ would have been able to play the whole season. It would have been a little bit better to officially dethrone the king. But you know what? The streak is officially over. Sorry to EJ, but I am the new pick'em champ, and I am going to run in and run up all over that because I am happy that I won that pick'em. I had enough of playing second fiddle to EJ or me and Justin battle it. No, I wanted the win this year, and I got it. So I'm going to brag about it, and it's the only time I'm going to brag about it.
Asterisk year.
Yes, this was the bubble year. This was the bubble year. I got it. I got the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hockey reference. I got the Tampa Bay Lightning fever going on. Justin, why don't you kick us off with the matchups this week for Well, I always like to call it the Final Four, but it's the NFL Conference Championships.
It's the Final Four.
The Final Four. Love that.
So I'm taking the Washington Commanders over the Eagles, and the Buffalo Bills over the Chiefs and the Refs.
The Chiefs and the refs.
But I think the Buffalo game is going to be tight. I think the Washington game is going to be tight. I think we got some good football this weekend.
Yeah.
So I got Washington 31, Philly 28, Buffalo 28, KC 27. Going to be taut again this week for Buffalo. Most points this week, Washington. Fewest points this week, KC.
Wow. Okay. Love that. Love it.
Yeah.
We do have different picks. At first we didn't, but I did change it for a few reasons. I kind of went with my gut.
You liked mine too much. You're like,
I
don't want to keep winning.
I didn't want to get hurt with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts. I feel like he's going to play. I think he's going to outduel Daniels this week. I think the Cinderella story comes to an end, and the Eagles are going to get away with that win. Saquon Barkley. I just seen Barkley in this game. I just got something with that Hurts Barkley fever. It's where my heart's lying. Bills Chiefs. Sorry Taylor Swift. Sorry Travis Kelce. Sorry Patrick Mahomes. This is it. The three-peat attempt ends here. Josh Allen is not going to let it slide this year. I feel like he's on a different planet. The Bills are on a different planet. This might be the year that the Bills, after all those challenges in the 90s and playoff hurts the last few years, Bills are getting the win over the Chiefs. I have the Bills 32-28 over the Chiefs. Close game. Commanders losing 28-21 to the Eagles. The most points this week? Well, given the final four, the basic math there, I got the Bills with the most points and the least points this week, the Commanders. So that is the picks for this week. Comment below on what you think the outcomes will be in the conference championships this week and for the NFL. Sunday, 3 o'clock is Eagles and Commanders. 6:30 night game Sunday is the Bills and Chiefs. I know what I'm watching. I know if I have to miss that afternoon game, it's got something going on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying not to miss the games because the Final Four, but I do have some plans this weekend. I purposely had to make things around so I don't miss that Sunday night game because I didn't want to miss that Sunday nighter.
It starts at 3. You can get stuff done by 3.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. It's not like you're starting at 1
or at least 4:30 to make it for halftime.
Halftime. Yeah, good point.
Like nothing's open after 4:30 on. What
True.
are you gonna do?
Nothing. That's a good point. There's no dinners. I just got some stuff to do, so I'll be home by halftime. Yeah.
I already planned your day.
Love it. Love it. So if I don't answer, I'll answer the Game Sports Podcast people. But if you're commenting, you might get some comments from the Game Sports Podcast accounts by our social media person, which isn't me, people. Look, I got to say that quick. It's not always me on social media. It's actually less than 25% me that's on that social media doing the uploads. Okay. There's a couple people that help with that, which is great. So it's not just me. So if you're saying, hey Dave, what are you talking about? Look, I can't, the Game Sports Podcast account will defend me. Okay. But if you got you want to come talk to me, send me a message. Let's hit the talk here on the Game Sports Podcast, but let us know who you think is going to win. I'm excited. Final four NFL conference championships this year. And again, congratulations to Ohio State. Justin, a little bit extra, but in the pocket, there's some good stuff to get into this week. In the pocket's coming near an end. We got two more segments, of In the Pocket left because we will not be here next week. I want to remind listeners there will not be In the Pocket next week. We'll have a Super Bowl preview show for you, and we'll have a post-Super Bowl show for you as always to conclude the In the Pocket segment for its 8th season. So 2 more segments to go of In the Pocket, Justin. But nonetheless, I want to say thank you to you, my friend, for yet another segment this week. And we'll be in touch, dude. It's going to be a good weekend of football.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be close. I think both games are going to be tight. I think if you're gambling, I would, you know what I mean. Everyone knows what I mean.
Get in there. FanDuel, Bet365. We encourage smart betting, though. Smart betting.
Over on the field goals.
Yes. Good call. And the Super Bowl reminder is February 9th at 6:30. And it's going to be one hell of a game no matter who goes there. But excited to see who that's going to be. We'll have to wait till after this week to see who that is, but you have to wait 2 weeks to hear from us about it. Justin, thank you again. And I also want to say thank you to Alex Parr. I want to say thank you to Jordan Trudeau. And I want to say thank you to Connor Henderson. We had hockey, we had baseball talk, we had football talk. We gave it all to you here on the Game Sports Podcast today, 4 segments. And I got to say, these are 4 segments. And it's the shortest show we ever done in 4 segments. So I want everyone to know that. That is the shortest that we've done in 4 segments. We hope you enjoyed all action-packed together. And it's definitely been overall enjoyable to have this episode with you. And I want to thank you again. Make sure you hit like, follow, and subscribe. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Look, all over. I'm pointing another finger because I'm forgetting one spot. I'm forgetting somewhere. Spotify, YouTube on 91N, on 91 Network. You need to search us on there. We're all over the place, okay? Just search where you get your podcast. But if you're listening and following us, hit that like, follow, and subscribe and interact. It means a lot to us. And, of course, I'm forgetting Spaces. So that's presented by Soo Today and Village Media. We're all over. You can't miss us on the game. So, again, thank you, Justin. Thank you to everyone. And until next week, I'm here to remind you, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.